boys and babies, big children and little children. Welcome to the live taping of the 100th episode of Tell Me More. Here, live in the sanctuary of First Baptist Church, Arlington. And here are your hosts, Katy Reed-Hodges and Dennis R. Wiles.
Well, we've never been introduced quite like that. Thank you, Ryan.
Every morning at the Hodges house. Oh,
is that how it is?
Every morning at the Hodges house. Yep.
Okay, that's how you introduce you to the triplets.
Yeah. This is
hey,
your mom.
boys, here she is, Katy Hodges.
Yep.
Okay.
Not really. Good evening. Welcome to the live recording. Actually, every recording
Is live.
is one take.
I'm assuming they're live.
It's one take, and we say, that'll do, and we move on. But today it's live, and if we mess up,
Right.
we mess up.
But in full disclosure,
Yes, sir?
this is not the 100th podcast.
No.
Thank y'all for coming.
Yeah, actually, come back next Sunday.
This was the only way we knew to get you here, but
This is...
it really is, but it's not.
Okay, from what I
because Kyle has messed up how we count it. So
Here's
but,
what I think
that's not
has
true.
happened.
That's not
is
true,
that
Kyle.
I was on maternity leave, and at the end of 2022, the PLT did an end-of-year recap.
That's right. Me, Barry, and Kurt.
And when y'all did that,
He didn't count it.
It wasn't uploaded as an episode.
Right.
It was uploaded as a special edition.
Right. So it really is the 100th.
But if you count it, this is the 100th episode.
Right, yeah, but if you were looking at it on your little podcast number thing,
Yeah, this will be
99.
and this will come up on 99.
Okay, sorry.
Which is very confusing because it'll likely say episode 99, the 100th episode.
Okay.
Right? Have we thought
Got
that
it.
through? No, we don't know.
It's kind of like AD0. There is no AD0. You go from BC to AD, right?
Tell me,
Something like that.
Tell me more.
Tell me. Well, I'm just saying.
You don't know? Okay, it ought to be obvious that there is one person missing.
Yes.
And that's because Luke wasn't here when we started this, and we didn't think he deserved to be here
That's
when we're
right.
doing this.
So it's one of those things, man. You know, it is what it is.
Actually,
Sorry,
Luke, we picked the one
Which
day,
one's Luke?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, we picked the one weekend where Luke is on vacation. And so we decided to see if we could still have him join.
Whoa. Okay, come on, man.
Hi, Luke.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Where are you? Where in the world is Luke Stair?
I'm in sunny, tropical Florida, wearing my visor. Because I know when I put my hair up, it confuses people that I've gotten a haircut. Sitting in my brother's backyard, hanging out.
You look like you're in Florida.
It's great.
One, you have bushes behind you that look like Florida.
Yeah.
But two, you look like Florida man.
I forgot to pack a Hawaiian shirt, which I really think would have sealed the deal, but here we are.
Well, you wear it well as you have it, so welcome. My first question for you is, what did you like most about the sermon today?
Yeah, come on.
Well,
Just because you're on vacation.
I'm ready to hear
I
it.
really loved, the splash pad where I was sitting, watching my
Splash
children
pad?
play.
Did you say the splash pad?
Yes. No, I did. Full disclosure, just listened to it at 2 times speed while I was waiting for you all to get here.
So you did listen? But you listened to it
did.
like this, was about like this, and just kept talking, and they kept going, and then you did this.
It's a little bit faster than that.
That's like half a sermon if you listen at 2 times speed. You only get half the credit.
You heard it here.
Yeah, so
Well,
but thank you,
Oh,
Luke.
okay.
Katie and I never get full credit. I think that's worth stating if listening at 2 times speed.
I listen at
It's half
1.25.
credit.
That's my normal.
Okay. 2
Luke
times.
crams for the test.
So,
So with that said, what was your favorite, what was the most moving part, would you say?
wow, here we go.
Yeah, here we go. I really loved hearing Dr. Wiles talk about how evangelism is something we do in community, that fishing in the New Testament is a communal activity done with nets, that it's not just an individualistic pursuit. So I loved that.
So you really did listen to
He
the
did
sermon.
listen, didn't he? All the way to the end. Wow,
You
all the way to
did.
the end.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear, but they're applauding for you, Luke.
Thanks, everybody.
Pastor, anything you want to ask Luke before we let him go back to vacation?
Well, I will say this, Luke. We let the church know tonight in our business meeting that we've already had more guests at our church this year than all of last year. So can I tell you, good job. You're doing a great job.
Great
helping
job.
I
us with.
can't take all the credit.
Yeah.
We have an amazing team of volunteers. We have some great people. Keep up the great work. Keep inviting people to church. And keep introducing them to us so we can get their information and help them get more connected with FBCA.
There you
Wow.
go. That's awesome. Luke Stair, ladies
What a
and
man.
gentlemen.
Luke,
well, let's
thank
get back to your
you.
family,
We're sorry we had to do this without you,
Bless
and we'll
you.
see you when you get back.
Well, I miss you all. Have
Okay.
fun.
Thank you, Luke.
See you, Luke.
I don't know if he could ever see us, really.
That's pretty cool.
That was pretty good.
Was that live or did we record that? That was live, wasn't it?
That would be incredibly impressive
Okay,
if that
all
was
right.
pre-recorded.
Good. Thought it was.
Those cues would have been on point. Okay, Pastor, I thought since it is a live recording of Tell Me More, that we could do Tell Me More stuff and
Right.
talk about the message a little bit. Talk about your sermon, the
I
passage.
brought my Bible.
Great, I'm glad I brought technology.
You brought your notes?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My first question is, how long do you think you're going to take to get out of Mark 1? How many weeks are you going to give us?
Well, next week we will get out of Mark. We will finish Mark 1 next week. Okay, so, and then I'll hand it off to the rest of y'all. How about that? But Mark 1 is awesome because, first of all, short. The whole gospel's short. I mean, it's only not even fully 16 pages. So you want to slow down and take it all in. And not only that, Mark is, he uses an economy of language. And so I think that it's appropriate to try to read it slowly and understand why did Mark choose to tell the story the way he did. So just like last week, when he records the message from Jesus, where Jesus says, the time is full, the time has come, the kingdom of God's near, repent and believe the good news. As we learned last week, that's a cosmic reality. It's so easy to just run right past it and say, well, that's the first sermon from Jesus. We got it. Repent, believe the good news. Well, no, it's the announcement. It's the inauguration of an era. This week, isn't it interesting? I don't know how y'all would respond to this, but the fact that Jesus meets these men at work, calls them to follow him, and they do it. And Mark just doesn't even comment on it. He doesn't give us he doesn't tell us about, Peter having the big catch of fish. He doesn't have Jesus explaining who he is. There's not even the explanation of how did Peter and Andrew separate from their families, presumably. What does that mean for James and John? He just says, without delay, they left. So Mark is focused on the power and the force of the call of Jesus. And the words of Jesus are very powerful. There aren't many words of Jesus in Mark's gospel, if you think about it.
Not a lot of red letters.
That's right. Like I've got the red letter
Yeah.
edition. There aren't a lot of red letters in Mark.
Yeah.
So pay attention to the red letters in Mark. He put them there intentionally. And also we think, at least I do, that he is heavily influenced by Simon Peter. So I think we're listening to Simon Peter's recollections through the voice of Mark. And so I think that's one of the reasons I'm drawn to Mark, because I love Simon Peter. I love the role that he played among those disciples. And since he didn't write a gospel, John did, Matthew did, Peter didn't. But this to me is his story told through the pen of Mark, John Mark. So
It talks about the call to discipleship.
Right.
And so can I just, how many of y'all listen to the podcast how many of y'all listen to the podcast?
How many don't even know we have a
it's actually
podcast? Oh my goodness.
These are
Okay.
our listeners. This helps us because we often talk in a studio
That
and
was a
think,
slow hand from Andy. That's slower hand. Andy kind of
Andy,
went.
what was your favorite part of last week's episode, Andy? Just to make sure that you're up
Andy
to
was on a
date.
cruise last week. He
I was in the
Bahamas.
Bahamas.
Yeah.
What a great
This
excuse.
thing doesn't play in the Bahamas.
Yeah, me too. Okay, and how many of you listen to us as a routine, while you're commuting to work or something in the car? Can we say?
Commuting to work.
How many of you do it while you're walking or on the treadmill? Okay, there's one person that we know that every Tuesday morning that it's available, he takes us with him on his morning walk, and it's Gary Steele. So we thought for now in here, Gary, we want to take you on a walk.
Come over here, Gary.
Yep. Dr. Wiles?
Yeah.
Gary?
Yep.
Start your walk.
Let me do on a walk with Gary
So
Steele.
if we're going to
okay?
talk about the call to discipleship,
Okay.
I thought that maybe Dr. Wiles, you could get the skinny on one of our longtime faithful members, deacons. He's been the chair of every committee, Gary Steele. How about a little walk and talk?
This is very rehearsed, right? Did you get the script that we sent you? No.
I missed
Okay,
it.
so we're walking.
Oh,
We're walking.
okay.
So tell me, when you're walking, why would you listen to the podcast while you're walking?
Because I can focus on it better because I'm not messing around the house with other stuff.
We're going this way.
All right.
Okay.
I can pay attention and focus more.
So tell me, how has that helped you? And I'm not saying this in a self-serving way, but I am your pastor.
But it's okay. I mean, go ahead.
Listen, so
What do you
how
like about Dr. Wiles?
How has it helped you to learn more about being a disciple? I mean, when you're walking and you're listening to a podcast, you've been to church that morning, the Sunday morning presumably, so you've heard the sermon already. But
Yes.
So tell me, what does that do for you? Or how's
Gary,
it helped you?
tell me more
Tell us more, Gary.
about why you love the podcast.
We're going all the way down here because these people here didn't get to see us.
Well, because I learn things. I learn more about what you talked about in the sermon, but in a way that's a deeper explanation. Makes me think about it more. Makes me want to contemplate deeper what you're talking about.
And so when you think about being a disciple, you've been in this church how long?
Keep walking.
I'm sorry.
Yep. We're walking with Gary. It's the whole
I'm walking
bit.
with Gary.
Yeah.
How long have you been in this church?
Well, since way down here,
Okay. So how long have you been following Jesus then?
since about right here,
Okay.
when I was a
For those
senior
that listen to the podcast, he went from knee height
All
to
right,
about
so-
shoulder height.
senior in high school.
So I guess what I would say, or the question I would ask you is, why is it that here you are at your age, you don't have it all figured out? In other words, you're still,
I am way from figuring it all out.
Yeah.
That's why I listen to you.
so you're still on a journey learning and growing, and you're using resources that help you even go deeper into what it means to be a disciple.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it helps me because there are things, different ways to look at things you talk about in the sermon that I never think about during the sermon, but when you bring it up in the podcast, I think, oh, that's what he was talking about. Oh, that's what the background on why Mark said it that way. It makes more sense to me a lot of times.
Okay. Gary Steele, y'all, how about that?
Gary
Thank you, Gary.
Steele.
Awesome.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it. And that was Walking with
Walking
Gary.
with Gary.
Walking with Gary.
Okay. Thank you, Gary.
Okay, well, I called on Gary, Dr. Wiles. Is there somebody that you might want to?
Sometimes when we're talking about what we discuss, we'll be talking about this at home. And every once in a while, my granddaughter, Ada Brown, has said something like this: "You ought to have me on the podcast, Poppy." Ada Brown. Come on, Ada. She's gonna
Brown,
be on the
everybody.
podcast. She's our special guest. Hey, darling, how are you? Okay. Have a seat right here. This is Poppy's little peanut, by the way. That's what we call her
Poppy's
in our
Peanut.
house. And so, Ada, how old are you now, Ada?
9,
9. Birthday is,
July 25th,
so then
coming
you'll
up.
be,
10.
no way,
Yes.
double digits.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, Ada, couple things. One, you know that we believe it's important for you to know the Bible, right?
Yes.
Right. So, do you know the books of the Bible?
Yeah.
You do?
All of them?
Can you tell us the
Like in
books of the
order?
Bible?
Sure.
Well, let's see you do it.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1 and 2 Kings, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians,
Philippians.
Philippians, and Colossians. 1 and 2 Thessalonians, 1 and 2 Timothy, Titus, Philemon, Hebrews, James, 1st and 2nd Peter, 1st John, 2nd John, 3rd John, Jude, and Revelation.
Whoa. Wow. Is there like a certain children's ministry? Did a certain children's ministry help you learn that as you've been growing up in this church?
Yeah.
Just in theory, yeah. That's great.
that?
Way to go, First Baptist.
Okay. Anybody else want to do that real quick? Wow. So, but it's not just the books of the Bible, it's verses in the Bible, right? So do you have a couple of favorite verses that you can share with us?
Yeah.
Okay. Like? What's your favorite verse?
Jeremiah 29:11.
Which says?
For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future.
Wow, I love that passage, that God has a plan for us. You've got a new one, though, that you've been learning this summer.
Yeah, I learned it at Camp Thurman.
Okay, what is that?
As far as the heavens are above the earth, how great is his steadfast love to those who fear him. Psalm 103, verse 11.
Wow.
I love it. Good job, honey.
You might get us kicked out of the SBC right there.
Now-
I mean, my gosh. That's for those that were at the business meeting.
Wow.
That's a reward to those that came to the business meeting.
If it push comes to shove, I'm going with her.
Yeah, I'm with Ada.
How about that?
We'll make t-shirts.
So, your name is actually in the Bible.
Yes.
Your name's a Hebrew name, which means adorned or beautiful. But is there a story that, where your name comes up?
There's two.
There are two stories. Can you tell us one of those stories?
Yeah.
Okay. You can do
She's
it.
giggling for those that are just listening.
Do you need your Bible or are you okay? Okay. You may need it.
So back up.
It's Genesis 4. It's Genesis chapter 4. It's Cain and Abel.
Okay. You want me to help you? Here, I'll hold this while you do it. Notice this Bible is marked up. Can you see that?
Yeah, just for everybody. It's not just underlined. She's got different
it
color
is
highlighters.
highlighted. Kurt Grice will be proud.
Yeah, they don't come like that. You gotta
Yeah,
earn
that's
that.
right.
You gotta
So-
put the work in for that.
Yeah.
So
tell us about it.
So basically, Adam and Eve had two children named Cain and Abel. Cain kept flocks and Cain worked on soil. And one day, Cain brought an offering of fruits from the soil to God, and Abel brought an offering of fat portions from his firstborn and his flocks. But God favored Abel's more over than Cain's, and so Cain got mad and killed him. But then God was like, why did you do that? Like, sin is waiting now at your door. Because you have done that, you can either choose to go through the path where sin has taken you, instead of go my way, and you'll just be a wanderer on this earth. And Cain was like, that punishment is more than I can bear, and now I'm just going to be wandering on the earth. And so many years later, after that, many years later, he, since he has gone out of the old Lord's presence, he decided to build just a new life, and he had a son named Enoch. And Enoch had a son named Irad. And it goes through a long list, and at the end of that list, there's Lamech, who marries two women, one named Ada.
There you go.
There it is.
Ada
What a
Lee,
great story.
You know what? You're awesome. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
you made it to the Tell Me More podcast.
Is there
So-
anything else you want to say, Ada, about your poppy?
Anything else you need to
want to
tell
tell
us
us
about?
anything we might not know?
Whoa.
No, you think we know everything?
Just that
What?
Poppy's awesome, right? I mean, that's right.
Yeah, and he
he's-
also loves Auburn.
He knows all that.
Oh, secret's out. Secret's out after all these
She
years.
knows that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ada.
Ada
Love you,
Brown,
honey.
thank you.
You're awesome. Give me a hug. Good
Well
job.
done, lady.
Yep, you're good. Ada
When-
Lee Brown, how about that, y'all?
How about
Wow, there you go. Okay.
Well, Pastor, for those that have listened over the past little stint, there's a few things that we joke about. One is really so serious that we ought not joke about it. And I brought you a little gift today.
You brought me a gift?
I brought you a gift, hopefully as an impetus, as a hope to get you over the edge, because there's a certain movie that if you grew up as a millennial, it was extremely formative. You may have seen it too young and it scared you for a decade. But
Forrest Gump?
No,
Was it Forrest Gump?
It was a great movie. I don't think it scared me for a decade.
Oh.
It was cutting edge. It's Steven Spielberg. I don't know how you avoided seeing it for all these years. Where were you in 1993?
I don't know, but I wasn't doing this. I wasn't watching.
So I thought that I would bring this to you in hopes that it would spur you along. Let me see. Don't watch.
Oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me.
And you only get to keep it if perhaps you watch this movie in the next 2 weeks.
Oh my
So
goodness.
for me to you, Dr. Dennis Wiles,
Thank you so much.
the best movie from the 90s that you've never seen, the Jurassic Park.
Okay, all right. That is so nice. Thank you. So, how many of y'all have not seen Jurassic Park? Look at all those
Whoa, keep your
boomers out
hands up.
there. Look at
Keep
them.
your
Look
hands
at
up.
them. Look at them. That is an awesome group of people. Some of my favorite people.
Hey, look at that back row. Y'all have no excuse on the back row, Dax. She said she wasn't born. That is a reasonable excuse.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Okay.
I'm just going to tell y'all that right there, thank you.
Well, no, can I just say, in 1993, when it came out, my parents were out of town, and our babysitter took me and my older brother. He's 10, and I was, we don't need to talk about how old I was in 1993.
Right. Got it.
We were on the edge of not being old enough, and we watched it. And as y'all know, it's cutting edge technology. It looks very real. Even now, it holds up 30 years later. The dinosaurs still look very real, very scary. And so I was fine. My older brother was scared in the night, and he made me go wake up Amy, the babysitter, and tell her that I was afraid so that he wouldn't lose street cred with Amy, and then we all slept in the same room.
That's terrible. Well, I'll tell you the movie that scared me, not Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was the movie that scared you?
I've never seen Jurassic Park.
We know.
And
That's
is
the
it,
whole point.
I'm just not a big science fiction person. Is it not science fiction? Right?
Yeah, it's sci-fi. Well,
yeah. I mean, it has,
it
has
goes beyond-
dinosaurs. It
goes beyond genre,
Okay,
though,
all right.
boss.
Okay.
I mean, it's
it
Jurassic
transcends
Park.
genre.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. All right, we'll see. No, the movie that scared me was Titanic.
And the Titanic scared you?
Yes, because
you up at
I just drowning.
You're in the middle of the ocean.
Cindy can tell you I had to walk out when that we were in one of those movie theaters where it had the wraparound sound. I just had to get up, walk out. I just could not take it.
You left the theater.
I left the
Did
theater.
you come back in?
Finally, I stood at the back. I've tried to watch it at home and I can't get through it. So it's just one of those things. And so all you people that go on cruises, you go ahead and have your fun. Okay?
Andy,
I
in the
will not be
Bahamas
going.
last
I
week.
can promise you, the last thing I'm going to be doing is getting on an unsinkable ship. I can promise you.
Have you ever been on a
That is
cruise?
not going to happen. Huh?
You ever been on a cruise?
That would be a no.
Of
no.
all the Dennis Wiles travels in the world, you've never been on a cruise
I've
ship?
never been on a cruise. No, I would have not been on the cruise. No,
You've been on a ferry?
Reluctantly.
You've been reluctantly on a ferry.
But when I've been on a ferry, I've been in a car just in case anything happened.
You stayed in the car?
I can go.
Can you
Makes me feel more
Can you
comfortable.
tell me more? What are you more afraid of? Sinking on a cruise ship, or like being really high up, open heights? Because I know you don't like either.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my hands are starting to sweat a little bit. I mean, yeah, being on a cruise ship, I'm just not going to do that.
That would scare you more than open heights.
Yeah.
Wow, that
So-
runs deep. Okay.
So here's the challenge I have with you and Luke.
With me and Luke?
Both of you.
Oh, good. Yes. Is this like a performance eval?
No.
Okay.
No, that comes later. This is about the fact that y'all are just young. You know?
I really appreciate that. That really means a lot to me.
So, a few weeks ago, we talked about our weddings, okay? And I just mentioned that
We
in
talked
our...
about the power of music.
We talked about the power of music, absolutely. And
That's how it
actually,
came
I
up.
sang on
That's
that
how it came
one.
up.
I sang that morning at church. Remember? Didn't I? Didn't I sing that morning
You
at
sang
church?
that morning. Well, I don't remember.
I did.
Anybody? I mean, y'all are the faithful listeners.
So we talked about music,
I have
and
no
I
idea.
just said
Okay.
music is very powerful. And we talked about our weddings, and I said in our wedding, we had a song by Dan Fogelberg. And y'all both looked
And I
at me
said,
with the deer in the
I
headlights.
have no
You've
idea who
never
that
heard
is.
of Dan Fogelberg. To which I said, beam me up, Scotty. There's no intelligent life forms down here. That's what I said. Speaking of science fiction. So tonight, I have brought you something to listen to. This is a Dan Fogelberg,
Is this
one of his
the
all-time greats,
Dan?
Innocent
Can you zoom in on
Age.
that?
Yes,
Do we
it
get
is.
that?
This
Dan?
has the great song.
Okay, speaking of
Leader.
nightmares, can y'all see what's on the front of this thing?
It's a doll up against a tombstone.
It's a doll.
No, there's
say that
nothing
slower.
to see here.
Say it slower.
But look in here.
It's a doll up against a tombstone.
There's Dan Fogelberg.
And now that's an attractive guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should have just
obviously.
Googled him.
So, so this album has a couple of, I was introduced to Dan Fogelberg by my wife, Cindy. And so you've got Leader of the Band, Run for the Roses,
I don't know
Same
that
Old
one.
Lang
Could
Syne. You don't
could
know
give me
Leader of the
like
Band?
Could you give me like
the
a teaser?
leader of the band is tired. His eyes are growing old. His blood runs through my instruments, and his
You've gotta
song is in my soul.
You've got to. Now it's not our college
My
ministry
life
anymore
has
because they've all
been
graduated.
a poor
But
attempt to imitate
young adult
the
ministry
man.
was waving
I'm just
along.
a living legacy to the leader of the band. Here you go. This is for you to listen to.
ladies and gentlemen,
Okay, I'm giving this to you. Yeah. Okay.
now does this have on it the song that y'all?
It does not. That's on another album.
Okay,
No, the song that was at our wedding was Longer Than,
longer than.
which is
Y'all
an
know it?
incredible, beautiful song.
Okay.
Of course, we could all sing it. My goodness,
We could all
seriously.
sing it.
Yes,
he
we might
says.
sing it next Sunday. It's my last
Kara, do
Sunday
you know
in June. Yeah, we
Yeah.
know it.
Yeah, back row. Do y'all know it? Mm-hmm. No, not Gary and Robin.
Y'all can
no
Google
offense,
it, you
Gary
young
and Robin.
adults.
Yeah, I mean the back.
Yes.
the back row.
Dan Fogelberg lived in Telluride.
No, you don't know Dan Fogelberg, right? He was. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, somebody told me this morning at church they were joking about you not knowing it, and they said something about that they were just a little surprised you didn't know Dan Fogelberg.
No,
but
I know,
but
but I know some of the contemporaries now that we talked about
That's
it.
right.
I know James
Yeah.
Taylor.
That's right.
You know, I just never got Fogelberg.
so
Yes. That's a record. Oh, thank you,
this is a
Lonnie.
vinyl
This is a
album
record.
right here, ladies and gentlemen. I have a record player for you to play it on if you,
You
don't
know,
have
those
one.
have come back around.
Yeah.
We have one at home, or we have a record player at home.
Well, then there you go. I'm going to let y'all take this.
Would
have to bring
you?
it
You let
back
me
because it's
borrow it?
vintage. I mean, you're giving me this. I'm loaning you this.
I see that. I see that.
Two different
Yeah,
things.
it is, and I know that. So.
But you know, generationally, here's the thing, y'all. Not only, here's what's interesting about being on this podcast is with both of y'all, you and Luke, is that y'all are parents of just little children.
We are.
So your life is just very different than mine.
It
now,
is.
You know, even though I'm a
Yes.
poppy, but you're
Yeah.
full out, full time.
Yep.
And then there was
Mommy,
a period
mommy,
of
mommy.
time
That's the new
on
thing.
our podcast where you just left.
Yeah, can we talk
You
about
just
that?
you just left.
Yeah, there are about
And you
25.
left me with
There are
what's
about
his name? The
25
guy that was on a
episodes,
while ago.
and I did just leave because I had the babies 9 weeks early, and I thought I might have them like 4 weeks early.
Right.
And so there are about 25 episodes on the podcast which I am not on, and in my absence, I asked Luke Stair, "Would you take over for me?"
Right.
And then Luke has this power complex and wouldn't give it back.
That's right.
No, we actually realized that it might be beneficial to keep all three voices, and it has turned out to be a really good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to just reward the listener and remind y'all of the very reason why I couldn't be around for 3.5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the whole Hodges family, so why don't y'all make your way up here?
Come on, boys.
Jack, Ben,
Bring these little boys
Sam,
up here.
Ryan, come on up, and we'll see
Tell
how
us
this goes.
who's bringing them.
Okay, Dr. Wiles, why don't we switch places, because that couch is about to get
Okay.
crazy. Okay.
Okay.
Come on,
This is what it's like. You're the
Let
host.
me
I mean, I'm
introduce
just the,
you
I'm
to
just the
everybody
guy.
about to walk up
Yeah.
here,
Okay.
and either drop kids or stay. We hadn't really thought that through. This is Ryan's sister, Lexi, and
Hi,
Sam.
Lexi.
Hi, Samuel. Can you sit with me? Hi. Can you say hi? Hi, hi, hi. And this is Ben and my best friend, Bethany. Bonus. Yeah, and this is Jack.
And there's Ben. There you go. Tell them about it, Ben. Yes. Yeah. Ben's listening to the sermons. You can tell that, buddy. Jack. We have Ryan. Jack.
And this is my husband, Ryan.
Ben.
The
I was
reason
about to say.
that I had to be gone. Hey, there's Sam. Hey, tell us, Ben, what's your favorite part about the sermon this morning?
Mama. Okay, they're starting to escape, y'all. Lexi, y'all just left. They need y'all to help us. Here's what I would say. Katie calls me. Katie lets me know she's going to the doctor. She tells me she's going to the doctor, so I know it. And I haven't heard back from her. This is back when she knew she was having a baby. I'm driving to camp. I call her, and I say, how'd the doctor's appointment go? She said, well, I'd really like to have this conversation in person. I'm on the Chisholm Trail on the way to Riverbend. And I said, well, then you've just ruined that because, no, we're having this conversation right now. She said, well, I'd really rather have it in person. And I said, we're having it right now. And I said, what happened? She said, well, I got to the doctor. They did the sonogram or whatever they call it. Found the baby, everything's fine. She said, and then the doctor said, or whoever the nurse said, there are 2 of them. To which I then went on this little long excursus on twins. Twins are awesome. This is going to be so much fun. You're going to be great. We're going to love these twins. I went on, and she said, I'm not done. There's a 3rd one. And I went, she said, that's what I did.
Yeah.
And turns out we have 3 of them.
That's
and look at them.
And look at
Aren't they awesome?
We might,
Seriously.
what if we dismiss the kids and keep
Wow.
Ryan for a second? Can you say bye-bye?
We love these little guys. Yeah. So cute. Wow.
Bye-bye.
Look at that hair. Good job, Ryan. Way to go, Sam. Stay strong, Sam.
Okay.
I was a
love
baby
y'all.
too. Be strong.
This is Scott. Ryan, you stay. Yeah, you stay. Just for a second. A shoe
Ryan,
has
this is how
exited
I don't know how
the
it works
stage.
at home, but this is how it works here.
Yeah.
She told me to move over here. I moved over here. So told you to stay. You stay. This is it.
I haven't heard anything y'all have said for the last
Yeah, we don't
3
have
minutes.
a He told the story of us finding out it was triplets.
Oh,
Can you
yeah.
tell your side of that story? That's church appropriate?
Oh, it's very simple. In the hospital, like after the
No. When we found out we're having triplets
in
at the doctor's office the first time.
the anatomy scan. Yeah, Katie and I had 2 different reactions where I was like, yeah, we could do it. It's no problem. It was very shocking. And Katie's like, I don't think we're going to do this. And then throughout the pregnancy, we switched. And so I'm like, I don't think we're going to do this. And
Yeah.
I was looking for exit
Ryan and I
plans.
learned that about each other when we met in seminary at Baylor, as most of you all know. And I may have talked about this on the podcast. Ryan is a very optimistic spirit. And like we took a few classes together. So the first day, which would be like syllabus day, I would be like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm gonna pass this class. I don't know if I'm past seminary. This is really bad. And Ryan would be like, this seems really easy. I think it's gonna be a super easy semester. And then about halfway through, we would switch, and I would be like, I'm gonna make it. This is gonna be okay. And Ryan would be like, this is the hardest class I've ever taken. I'm never gonna make it. I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna drop out. And that's pretty much how we faced most large things in our life.
True story.
Yeah. So I think that makes us complement each other well.
I hope so.
5 years in, 10 years in, whatever. We've been dating almost 10 years. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah.
That's
At
a
one
freebie.
point, we moved beyond dating.
And we've been married 5 years.
That's right.
Thank you so much. Ryan, what's your favorite thing about First Baptist Arlington?
Oh, my goodness. Well, the caretakers of our babies. No, we.
That's probably the
there's
truth
a lot.
by now.
I mean, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting. I was nervous coming to church here, 7 years ago, whenever I first came, because I
that's
was
probably right.
at a very small church, or compared to this, it was about 100 people on a Sunday, and I really, really liked it. So I was a bit intimidated coming to a church this size. But I did like the resources that we have. We can do a lot together as a church, like what we do in mission. And even despite the size, there's so many, it's one community, but also so many different tight communities. When we started the college group, that was such a good community. And then just moving on level by level, I'm in the launch right now. I don't know why,
Look at this faithful crowd that came to support you. Did y'all know that Ryan was going to be on it? No, because Ryan didn't know until we, okay.
And so I mean, part of that, and I think the main thing that I've really grown to enjoy is when we needed help, and we had so many people that wanted to help, that we're blessed with, take care of our babies, that the church kind of moved, at least for me, moved from the church to our house. And it was such a wonderful, it was more than just fellowship, but it was this giving, this very special time that we got to share with our babies and other people, and the having to be forced to have our door open, which is, we weren't usually like that, really opened my eyes to not only just what church is, but what this church is.
What a great answer. I thought you might say like the minister of congregational life is my favorite thing about, but that was actually a pretty good
without
answer.
saying.
Yeah. Pastor, anything else for my husband?
You know, first of all, I would just say I appreciate that, Ryan. And just so you know, Ryan serves at our church. He's on our Great Commission Council, and he's one of our young adults who helps lead our church, and we're grateful for that, Ryan. But I would say that when I think about this church, it's things like this. It's getting together and having conversations about who we are as a church, just like we've had tonight, business conference, who First Baptist is. It's all done out in the open. It's very transparent. That's who the church is. And then just the sense of a calling to mission. We heard reports about that tonight. And then just the fellowship in the community and the familial feel of First Baptist Arlington is what's always attracted me to this church. And tonight's a great exhibit of that, or example of that. Just the warmth that our church has and the fun that we have with each other, the love that we have for each other. And y'all just shared how you were the beneficiaries of that. Cindy and I have felt that for so long. They've loved us, cared for us, and loved our family. They've allowed us to be multi-generational here. I mean, you heard from my granddaughter tonight. This is her home, her church. And so just all of that to me is a snapshot of First Baptist Arlington, and I love it.
And you know, just to puff you up, after 23 years, often a church takes on the personality of its leader. And so if we're warm and caring and fun, I'd say thoughtful, multi-generational, you may have brought some of that with you.
Well, you know, it's been a great place for us. And
well, we love it.
We love it. I love y'all. I love y'all. And to those of you that I can't see, we love you. And
for the listener.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, wow, we've done it.
This is it.
It's time to get ice cream. That's what's happening next, right?
I'll say, I'll close us out.
It's your job to close us out. Yeah, you're the host.
Yeah. Thank y'all for listening and watching. If you're an ice cream scooper, head to the lobby. And we'll see y'all next week for the 101st episode of Tell Me More.
Awesome. Good night. Thank you. Yeah.